There's no arguing that people love their cars.
We weren't arguing.
They talk about their cars, sing about their cars. Some people even look like their car. Whether it's an old car, new old car, fast car, family car, electric car, race car, two-wheel car, no-wheel car, or a car you know's parked around here somewhere. People who love their cars love to tinker with them. Some people tinker big, some people tinker small, some people tinker some degree between those two variables.
Whose voice is that?
And that's where Supercheap Auto comes in. We've been helping people tinker for 50 years. For people like Bill, Lucy, Kevin, other Kevin.
Oi, get off my car!
Didn't catch this guy's name.
It's Kevin.
Not Patrick. He doesn't shop with us. Whoever you are, whatever you drive, we'll help you make it super. Because super is our middle name. Well, technically it's our first.
Yeah, very good, John. How are you going? Yep. Yeah, John's got a bit of an issue with his comm, so I'm just going to take over. Yeah, so we're at Phillip Island. We've got 57 laps, I believe, tonight, and we also have 2 sets of tyres for the race. So tyre deg is going to be pretty high, and with only 2 sets of tyres for 57 laps, I'm guessing most drivers are going to probably try and split that in half. We have got a smaller field than usual. We've only got about 17 or 18 drivers to race, but there's plenty of quality in there, and this is a track that always dishes up some high quality racing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Already seen some quick times already coming in from a few of the boys on those first ones. And yes, I'm back. Welcome to Phillip Island for round 10. How are you, Mark? I think everyone knows you. How you are? I'm having fun again. We'll have a quick look at the track, which was just shown. I think everyone pretty much knows this circuit. We've been here many times before. While these boys are going around, have a quick look at the Pro Championship. So James Scott on 16.13 is well ahead of Jordan Ross. Story has it James is away on leave next week, but I wouldn't be surprised if he is changing plans for that one. It will be very interesting to see how he goes. In second, we've got Jordan Ross on 15.67. Blake Warboy sitting back in third on 14.78. Of course, Thomas Freeman in fourth on 14.68. It's a very tight battle to get on the podium in there. Damien Johnstone was setting good times in practice earlier on 14.45. And then we step all the way back to Tom Freer on 13.09. Hobson, who I believe is missing this evening with work commitments, on 11.66. Mulford, Kirby and Briggs round out the top 10. And in the Pro Series, a talking point, Mark, is race administration. They've ruled that Christian Smart's DSQ for not completing compulsory pit stops cannot be dropped. So poor old Christian Smart has been relegated from second back to sixth, which hurts a lot and gives Craig Schultz a pretty big gap over Brad Doble in second place, who is in a very tight contest with Anthony Visma and Ash Borella and Chris Blanchard to finish those podium spots off. So 1 round to go after tonight. Plenty to fight for these boys, particularly for those minor spots.
Yeah, that's a shame for Christian, but I think that's a pretty fair ruling. I don't think you should be able to drop a round that you've been disqualified from. So, yeah, give Craig Schultz a little bit of breathing space with 2 rounds to go. He still has to make sure he maintains his momentum for this round and the final round. But, yeah, tightens up the battle in that Super 2 series for second and third, very close. So, going to be interesting there. And yeah, James Scott, does he delay his flight? Does he tell his missus that I'll see you there tomorrow? I don't know, but yeah, there's a lot to play for him and Jordan Ross, and I'm sure he wouldn't begrudge Jordan becoming champion, being the team boss. So anyway, there's a bit to unfold there. I'm sure we'll get a few words from James maybe a bit later.
Yeah, James went off the track there, so not sure what happened to James.
Yeah, I think he
buggered up his pit entry.
Yep. I'm seeing Brenton Hobson in the list, but maybe he hasn't set a lap, so I'm not sure.
He did say he might be missing due to work commitments, so he's done well if he's managed to get himself in. I know a few of these boys are a little fatigued at the moment. They've done the official Bathurst, followed by Scott's Bathurst last weekend. I think a few of them are a little fatigued with their racing, but anyway, and of course Pro Series Bathurst this weekend. So I think these boys definitely should be Bathurst out by the end of this weekend.
Yeah, without a doubt, and they did their 300 Ks with us last Tuesday night as well. So yeah, I'm sure Phillip Island's a bit of a welcome change of scenery for some of them, and it's a track we've raced at many times before, but I feel like we haven't been here for a while. I'm not sure why, but good to be back here.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one, I reckon, tonight, Mark, with 2 sets of tyres. As you said, I think it's 26 laps you're looking to get out of a set of tyres, 2 sets. It's going to be hard work for these boys.
Yeah, without a doubt, they're really going to have to manage their tyre wear and, yeah, try and drive the car as square and straight as possible. A lot of lateral load going through the tyres in this track, so it does create a lot of heat, and it does tend to show up later in a stint where you really start to suffer. So yeah, tyre management is going to be critical, as it is most weeks with us. So like you said to me earlier, John, they've got a cooler track, so that will help them a little bit, but still everybody's going to have to be on top of their game.
Yeah, so everyone lining up for their outlap at the moment. Big shout out to everyone in the chat. We've got quite a few out there already, including Sean Mack and Dave Kirby and Steve Murray. Good to have our regulars back with us. Sean Mack, of course, was in the car last week, but put him back in the chat. So we have to behave ourselves again, Mark. We can't say what we said about him last week.
Sean's a good sport. He's always good value for money, and he's a great competitor, and he's always welcome in the series and in the chat. And yeah, evening to Steve Murray, one of our very regular people. It's always good to have Steve with us.
Yeah, Steve, always regular. And of course, we always have a good laugh with Macca. So, but these boys, I see on Brian Borg at the moment. He's trying to set himself a reasonable time. He's got a bit of a gap. The Craig Schultz sitting behind him. Pete Kelleher out there as well. And of course, just trying to work out what's happened to my track map. Come back eventually. Oh, wrong button.
So currently we've got Shane Van Gisbergen on pole, 127.083. Then Damien Johnson is in second, 127.150, and then James Scott at 127.173. Jordan Ross in fourth, 127.322, and Blake Warboys rounds out the top 5 at the 127.422. So not a whole lot in it, especially them top 3. They're at less than a tenth of a second between them top 3. So just wondering if Giz is doing more racing online in the old V8s, because he doesn't like the Gen 3 car. Anyway, might have to ask him that later.
Yes. Of course, I've been always thinking, should I always ask the question, does he do anything outside of the sim, out of the sim? He's been driving very well, though. Did very well at Scott's Bathurst as well as James Scott, Jared Philsell. A great effort by those boys to get the W, starting from pit lane or rear grid, I think it was.
Yeah, that was a stellar drive from the boys to come from all the way back and take the win. So yeah, some quality driving there, and it was a pretty epic race.
These boys, most of them are on their way back in at the moment. We do have a couple that are out on track about to go for it. Might jump on with Scott Gamble. Scotty's back with us tonight. Another fierce competitor. He's on an outlap with Craig Schultz behind. This is a track where the draft does have a little bit to play as well. Particularly that long, fast straightaway on the main straight. Now these two boys just rolling in. I still haven't seen a time set yet from Tom Frere or Brenton Hobson.
Yeah, I think Hobbo's entered the server just in case he can get in here, but he may not end up racing. So, and I'm sure Tom is looking to do his favourite thing, and that's come from the back of the pack and pass a few cars throughout the evening.
There's Tom doing Tom things. We enjoy watching, of course.
Yes, he does it very well. So he gets plenty of practice at it here, and yeah, he always has a good execution. So I'm sure that's what we're going to see. He'll start from the rear of the grid and try and fight his way through.
Might jump on board with Scott Gamble for a lap. He's got a car in front of him. Got to be careful here. He's going to be a little bit out of sequence. You can see the train. This is the problem when you're out of sequence like Scott is. They're all trying to keep to the right to stay out of his way. Someone's in front. Oh, that's a squeeze. Did very well to get through that gap.
There wasn't much space there, but he squeezed through it.
Another one right out, trying to get out of his way. Pulls it up. A little bit loose there by the looks, going into Miller.
Yeah, very distracting when you've got cars all over the track and you're trying to set a hot lap, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's one of the things you got to work very hard. And we've noticed guys in the Pro Series, you know, if they miss that first one, they'll just go sit in the pits and wait for the group to get their lap out of the way and go out again. You know, it's very, very difficult when you get caught out of the group like Scott's been here. You can see that you do get compromised. A bit loose there. That's not going to be quick either. And he's straight into the pits to try and get himself out around again.
I don't know whether he'll have a time to get another out lap and a hot lap.
Yeah, I think it'll be a struggle. Might just jump on with Damien Johnstone. Sean McNamara commenting about how good he's going.
Yeah, super impressive from Damien. He was well on the pace in practice and delivering in qualifying as well. He's been racing well all season with us, and yeah, good to see him up there.
It is great, actually. Just to answer Dave Baldock's comment in the chat, no, there's not, but there is a Baldock Street, which is the next block over from where War Boys lives. So, bit of a fun fact for you, Dave. Damien is looking really solid. James Scott would be the one I'll be looking for in this time around to see if he can jump up the order a little bit. James got clean air out in front by himself here. Jordan Ross tucked up in the train behind. Ben Gisbergen at the back of this group. It's like Brian Borg trying to latch on. Gizzy already with a purple sector. Jordan Ross bails. Warboys looks like he's in trouble out the back there as well. Schultz is in trouble. And we'll stay on board with James Scott. Can he take it to Van Gisbergen? Oh, green sector for Scott. Is he going to the last sector now? Gisbergen with the yellow sector for his second. And these two driving away from Brian Borg sitting behind them. Damien Johnstone with the green sector as well. He moves up the order. Borg pulls out. An incident. Van Gisbergen with an incident. So we might have a quick look at that if we get a chance.
And James Scott's improved, but he doesn't improve his position.
Let's have a quick look at what happened to Van Gisbergen. He's sideways, gets in the way of Brian Borg. Let's see. We'll have a look at that again. So not sure what's happened. It looks like he's just lost it on the curb. So Damien Johnstone is going to hold that second spot, which is a great effort from Damien. You'd be pretty happy with that. Mixing it with Van Gisbergen and Scott. Fourth spot, Jordan Ross. Fifth, Warboys, Borg, Smart, Gamble, Freeman. All doing really well there with Visma. Dobell, Schultz, a long way back from Smart and Visma. And then we've got Mulford, Blanchard. Matty Mascord's back with us tonight. And no time set from Freer and Hobson. So let this system get itself a bit sorted. And just wait at the moment for the clock to tick down. We've got no one on track. We'll just roll out. So fairly interesting qualifying session. Great result, I think, from Damien Johnstone. I think you'd be pretty impressed with that one. Be pretty chuffed.
I think any time you out-qualify James Scott, it's party time.
Yeah. Of course, he's been battling with Ross and Warboys all season. So to have a few boys of James Scott in between him and them as well. We just can see how we go when we do get to the grid. Just letting this time tick down here. We might just go back to that beautiful picture of the track that we missed earlier on. A beautiful sunny day here at Phillip Island. Some photo taken by a friend of mine. And still waiting for the clock to tick down for qualifying. It should be done any second now. Go a bit quicker than this. And here we go. We can have a look at the grid now. Let's have a look at that grid as we start off with Shane Van Gisbergen on pole. That's a great effort from Shane. And in second, we have Damien Johnstone sharing that front row. Great effort from Damien to get himself there. James Scott from Synergy Sim Racing in third, alongside Jordan Ross, the team boss from Synergy, in fourth. Blake Warboys from WK&P in fifth, alongside Premier Racing's Brian Borg in sixth. Christian Smart in seventh, leads out our Super 2 boys. And Scott Gamble from WK&P is in eighth. Fishy Motorsports, Thomas Freeman in ninth. Anthony Visma from Accelerate Sim Racing in 10th. Along on the next row, we have Brad Dobell alongside Craig Schultz. So these boys did relatively well with their qualifying. And then after that, we have Phoenix Racing's Tim Mulford in 13th, alongside WK&P's Chris Blanchard. Matty Masgood from Synergy Sim Racing in 15th. And then we have, of course, Tom Freer, who didn't set a time. Brenton Hobson, who didn't set a time. Sebastian is our race control. Ash Borella is in the safety car, not by choice. He picked the wrong one coming into the server. Reg James is part of the race control team, and Richard Borella is our safety car driver. So it's a small field, but as Mark said, it's a very competitive field.
Yeah, absolutely, and good to see Hobbo has made it on track. So him and Tom Freer will be trying to fight their way from rear of grid.
Yeah, keep an eye out for those boys. They will be absolutely on fire here, I reckon. About to get cracking very shortly to get ourselves established here. So looking for James Scott on that second row to get a good start. We do know James can be hit and miss at times. He does get bogged down. He's going to be in the pack with Warboys, Borg and Ross. Damien Johnstone sitting on that front row, going alongside Shane Van Gisbergen. He'd be looking to get the hop here as well. So it's going to be very interesting this start. Looking forward to seeing how this all unfolds, as this race is now only about 30 seconds away. Keep an eye out for Freer and Hobson at the back. Keep an eye out for Craig Schultz. He'd be looking to try and get his way past Dobell, Bismarck and Smart for the Super 2 battles. And keep an eye out, of course, for Thomas Freeman. We know he does some pretty cool strategies as well. So could be a bit of a mixed variation going there. As we're about to go racing here in the next 10 seconds. Engines are on. Lights are on. 3, 4, 5. We're away. Green flag racing. Boys are off. It's a good start by Van Gisbergen. John Stone's done relatively well. Scott's got a good start as well. Jordan Ross tucking to the outside. And it looks like Damien Johnstone may have the jump here going into the Southern Loop for the first time. What a great start. Warboys hung out second there behind James Scott, shuffling back. Last thing you want to do is get caught too wide through the Southern Loop on the first time round. As we now come out of the Southern Loop, heading down into Miller Turn for the corner for the first time. Miller, oh, big dive from Gisbergen, has a look, but Johnstone holds him off. Jordan Ross is up that one spot in there. James Scott down one spot. Borg up a spot. Warboys down a spot in 6. Looks like the whole field's got through Miller safely. We now come through Siberia. And now we're heading up the hill, of course, heading up to the hay shed. And then up across through Lukey Heights. A great start from Damien Johnstone. He'd be happy to lead a lap here for the field he's got behind him. See Ross showing his nose coming down into MG for the first time. As we now roll around, we've got to get the power down. Heading on to the start-finish straight for the first time. Damien Johnstone's going to lead out Van Gisbergen, Ross and Scott. Borg dropped back a little bit from this pack. Watch this train of cars now work together as they all use a slipstream. They'll be looking for a move as they get towards the end of the straight here. Gisbergen pulling right up behind Johnstone. No one's going to have a look. A great start from these guys. Damien Johnstone with P1 against his name after the first lap, Mark. I don't think you and I would have called that.
No, but like we said earlier, his practice times were excellent. His qualifying time was excellent. Very even start across the board there from the front 2 rows. A couple of people up and down spots, but generally a pretty good start from all drivers, and it's on for young and old here. There's nothing in it between the top 5, 6, 7 cars.
Yeah, I was just about to say Borgie and Warboys have latched onto the back of this group. And I don't think it's going to take too much for Thomas Freeman to get onto the back of Warboys now as well. So this is great racing so far. It's nose to tail racing is what we've seen all season. And this is what East Coast produces.
Yeah, absolutely, John. And as we said earlier, there's only 2 sets of tyres to go around the 57 laps. So it's going to be critical to manage these tyres. They're going to be absolutely screaming for mercy by the end of this stint.
Yeah, that's right. You don't want to get caught up too much in this battle too early and blow your tyres out, because you will be in trouble later. Of course, a big shout out to the Minnow cheering on Thomas Freeman in the chat, as Damien Johnstone sets the fastest lap at the 128.508, which has then just been knocked off by Scott Campbell back in 9th with the 128.576. So some good pace being set by this field at the moment. As it looks like Gamble in the background there was putting a move on Christian Smart, side by side. Gets it done. Going to continue on. No, looks like that's done. We can see that group in front. They're all nicely lining up, and Freeman's joined the group, the back of that group. So
I think we're going to see we're going to see drivers trying to conserve a little bit here, because you don't want to be using your tyres up too early, and I think we're going to see Scotty Gamble latch onto the back of this train soon, and same with Christian Smart.
I think the boys definitely going into conserve mode at the moment.
Brenton Hobson starting rear of grid, already up to P11. He's up 6 spots in 2.5 laps, so Brenton doing a great job. Tom Freer, he's up 3 spots, so Brenton making his way forward a little bit quicker than Tom at the moment.
Doing really well. Long way to go for those two still, and they're literally latched on the back of Schultz already. And Schultz not far from Smart, and Smart tucked right up behind Gamble, who is now about to latch onto this group, as we talked about. See Tom Freeman there, Gamble behind him. Definitely a bit of conserving going on, I think. Lap 4 at 57, so still a fair way to go.
Yeah, Damien Johnson out front doing a stellar job for the Synergy Sim Racing team. Probably been a while since he's led from the start of a race in this series anyway, but he's, like I said, he's been racing well all season. He's a fierce competitor. He does fight very hard, and at the moment he's opening up a little gap from Shane Van Gisbergen.
It's only subtle, but he's definitely driving really well. You can see Freeman and Gamble just about onto the back of that group now. Wallboy's dropping a little bit off the back of Borg. Just watch how Van Gisbergen just closes this gap here under the slipstream. Probably a little bit of fuel saving going on with these boys behind Johnstone.
Yeah, without a doubt. We also know how good Shane is at managing his tyres in real life, so I'm sure he's probably pretty good at it in the sim as well. One of the best out there in real life in getting the most out of his tyre wear, so I'm sure Shane is thinking about his strategy pretty intently out there.
Yeah, it definitely would be the case. Might just go back, have a look at the Super 2 boys, how they're getting on. So, of course, Christian Smart's leading that battle at the moment. He's sort of dropped off the back of... He's dropped off the back of Gamble there a little bit, but we can see Christian is also about to come under pressure from Craig Schultz shortly.
Yeah, Craig's got Brenton Hobson all over the back of him at the moment, and probably be wise for Craig to just let Brenton through and try and tag on the back of Brenton and get a tow down that front straight and get pulled up towards Christian, his other rival in the Super 2 series.
Yeah, definitely Warboys has closed the gap up to Borg now as well, bringing Freeman with him.
And of course, this track, so much lateral load in the tyres, you only need to put a little bit too much power down on one corner, get the car a little bit sideways, and then you're suffering for the next lap because the tyres just take so long to recover, and it really eats into your lap time.
You definitely got to keep a close eye on all of that, as well as, you know, your fuel, and then as you got that lateral load and you start sliding around, you need to really be very careful so you're not doing too much damage to it all.
Brenton Hobson still making his way forward. He's up 7 spots. He's just snuck into the top 10 now in 10th position, so pretty mega start there from Brenton. And of course, Brenton was a former series champion, so he's definitely no slouch.
That's right, he's the only person to be a 2-time champion here at East Coast. Title that he did wear quite gratefully. Of course, James Scott will take the champion title if he stays up next week, basically. Jordan Ross would be hoping that he does have that week off that he's been threatening. At the start of the season, he did mention that he had a holiday booked. And James Scott now looking actually to make the move on Jordan Ross. Tucked right up behind. Oh, not much in that.
No, there's absolutely nothing in this top four at the moment.
I might just stay on board with James Scott here. See how he's tucked right up behind Jordan Ross. Nicely gets the power down in that slipstream. Of course, now into the southern loop, one of these high load, lateral load areas for these tyres. Very tricky to get the power down as well coming out of it. Want to look after the tyres, get a good run here. Poke your nose on the inside for Miller and have a look. Scott hangs back though. See Van Gisberg and Johnstone and Ross fairly tightly packed. Is he starting to give Johnstone the hurry up a bit too by the looks?
Yeah, I reckon Shane's in two minds whether he wants to keep saving fuel or if he wants to go to the lead. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the next couple of laps try and make a move on Damien and try and create a little bit of space between himself and Jordan Ross and James Scott.
Yeah, of course. Once a competitive racer, but he's still going to sit behind here, getting the run this time. Bit of saving fuel going on.
Yeah, with the limited tyre sets, the best thing to do is save as much fuel as you can in this opening stint, and yeah, try and not use the tyres too much, but save as much fuel as you can, and try and pick up your positions in pit lane rather than on the track.
Just going to have a quick look. Tom Freer was involved in an incident, I think, or in his own making, getting a little bit loose. Keeps it in the gravel trap. This, of course, is on the last corner. Turn 12. That's going to hurt his charge through the field. Now this big group now going all the way back to 8th. All lined up behind Damien Johnstone. So this is really going to turn into, as you said, a battle of looking after tyres. Saving that fuel.
Yeah, just looking at that Tom Freer incident, you get out there at Southern Loop and there is just no way to bring the car back. Once you go wide down there, it is like a hurricane sucking you into the eye of it. You just cannot bring it back. Oh, big hit on the front straight with, I think that was Matty Mascord.
Supercheap Auto replay. Looks like Dable behind. Oh, that's huge.
He's
On his
still
roof.
rolling.
That is a big accident. We can see if that brings out the safety car. Got it landed on its wheels. Safety car has been called. That was a very, very big incident. and probably opens the door up for these guys to potentially have a pit stop here. We might just jump back on, have another look at this one on the onboard gyro.
Just look like Brad Dobell got into the right rear quarter of Matty Mascot and just sent him tumbling, a high-speed tumble.
Very high-speed tumble, of course. And it's good to see the gyro works well in the supercar. It's nice and level the whole way through. Let's jump back to live pictures. So the safety car is out on track at the moment. Everyone rolling into the pits like we thought would happen. So let's watch this battle unfold. Who's going to peel themselves out first? Okay, keep watching here. Basically got the whole field in, except for Mascot. And here we go. We are racing out now. Looks like John Stone's going to hold him off. As we pick up the safety car now. So John Stone, Scott, Ross. Then we've got Freeman. So Van Gisbergen falls back a little bit there in that pit stop cycle.
Yeah, just looking at that, he's fallen back to 8th position. His stationary time was less than most people as well. So interesting there. I'm not sure what happened with Shane there.
Not really sure either.
He might have missed his pit box. I'm just going to go and check that.
Yeah. And of course, we might jump on the Bay 21 safety car, being driven by Richard Borella. Nothing like the sound of the good old AMG. And of course, race control noting that incident between Dobell and Mascot. And Steve Murray saying he missed his pit box. Needed to move forward.
Yeah, he missed it by a fair margin there. So didn't quite pick up his pit man, which is always difficult when you're in a big train coming into pit lane.
One of the harder things to do, of course, when you're running around here at Phillip Island. Just while we're under the safety car, big shout out to our window banner sponsor, West End Motor Group, which of course consists of Too Easy Finance, Parramatta Mazda, Parramatta Isuzu Ute, Parramatta Peugeot Professional, Parramatta City of Vale, Great Wall Motors, Blacktown Mazda, Blacktown City of Vale and Great Wall Motors. And I was talking to Jamie on the weekend and he was always available to help anybody out as the safety car pulls out. That's going to be a quick one. Safety car is away very early. Stay on it for a second. Yeah, so Jamie and his team more than willing to help anybody out in that Sydney area if you're in the market for a new car. Make sure you go check them out. As Borella about to come in. Actually, we might quickly jump on Richie because they do have fun coming in here. No, he's pulled it up nice and early. Jump on here, Damien Johnstone. He's away already. We are green flag racing. He's gone early. Probably smart move.
Van Gisbergen into the pits again.
May have got a penalty as well.
He's got a black flag, so yeah, he must have got either a pit lane speeding or exit. So yeah, it's a shame for Shane. He's probably going to have to come and stay stationary for 40 seconds.
That's a very big blow to the battle. Well, we'll see if he can fight his way back from there. A long way to go still. Only lap 12 of 57 at the moment. As we've got James Scott now looking into Miller to make a move. Yeah, he's past John Stone. John Stone left too wide. Seeing Ross, a bit of smoke there, but Ross going to poke his nose through. Is Freeman going to go as well? Ross now forced to the outside of Siberia. And tucked in back behind again. Jordan Ross putting Damien Johnstone to the sword here. And of course, James Scott would be looking to pull away.
Well, based on Damien Johnson's pace earlier in the race and qualifying and practice, I don't know that James is actually going to be able to pull away. So, interesting times ahead. Brenton Hobson up to 6th now. He's up 11 spots. So, not a bad start to the night for Brenton.
Yeah, great drive for Hobbo, trying to latch onto the back of War Boys now. We're setting the fastest lap of the race with a 1:28.27 on that time by the stripe. Don't underestimate Hobson. Another safety car, and he could be right in this battle. We said still a long way to go.
Yeah, I think Shane Van Gisbergen will be hoping there's another safety car. He's at the rear of the grid by a fair margin at the moment.
Yeah, fair bit of, well, it looks a little bit of a tap back there by Christian Smart. Let's jump on that one on the Supercheap Auto replay. Christian coming in deep. Borgie going for the inside, not getting it done. Smart being spun by Borg. Almost a little clip there. There they go. Race control already over it. Little tap from Visma as well. Don't think there's any damage there to the Visma machine. Let's jump back onto this battle with Hobson. It's got Scott Gamble now catching back up to this group. So the boys in the Supercheap Auto WK&P cars having a real crack here. It's always good when you can see the carrot up front. It's going to quickly jump on with Thomas Freer. He's tucked right up behind Borg. Trying to work out how much long his pit stop was. His pit time for James Scott was 15.8 seconds. John Stone 16.5. So very marginal time difference, but based on those times, Scott, I'd say, oh, sorry, not Scott, Stephen, I'd say that they, as Tom Free's going to get through here, I'd say that they definitely would have been up on the jacks and taken fuel.
Yeah, without a doubt, they've all fueled up, and you've got to remember Damien Johnson was out front for the first 12 laps of the race, so he probably burned a little bit more fuel than everybody else, and was not really able to save too much because he was breaking the air for everybody being out in front. So that's probably why we've seen the drivers behind him able to get away with a little bit less stationary time.
It definitely hard work when you're leading the group. Just going to go back a little bit, have a look at this Hobson battle. He's tucked right up here behind Warboys. That's less than half a second now. Well, it's very hard to catch the guy in front when the guy in front is getting the slipstream as well. And of course, this whole group getting the slipstream from James Scott, making life very easy for him.
So Brad Bell's been given a pit lane drive-through for that contact with Matty Mascord that brought that safety car out.
A big shout out to Josh Borella that's joined the chat. He's going to ask me how Ash is going. Will be his next question. Ash accidentally registered as the safety car, which means he isn't racing this evening. The old gotcha in iRacing is making sure you select the right car when you come into a server. So I know he's not very happy with himself about that one. Oh, but he's nice and comfortable behind Warboys.
Just starting to see James Scott out in front stretch his legs a little bit. There's down to about half a second at the moment. It's probably the biggest gap we've seen all night from the leader.
Yeah, it looks like Johnstone and Ross probably battling a little bit. So Johnstone now under a fair bit of pressure from Ross. Maybe to see if Jordan maybe wants to try and get himself past, to try and keep on the back of James Scott. He's going to jump back. Tom Free's just worked his way past Visma. He's in the middle of this pack here. Oh, it's a tap. A little bit of a tap from Christian Smart. Looks like they've got themselves all going again. Of course, what's the number one rule? Don't take out your teammate. Almost saw them come undone there.
Yeah, I think Christian was far enough up there, and just probably not quite enough room given for him. But anyway, I'm sure they're chatting about that in Discord.
See Jordan Rossi tucked up behind Damien Johnstone. As you have a look this time, it closes right up. I read all the small print on the rear of the SSR car in front of him. Johnstone using all the road. Scott not getting away like we thought.
No, it's out to 0.7 of a second now, so it's just a little bit every lap. Not just a tiny fraction every lap, but we know what James is like. He just has this relentless ability to just punch out lap times, lap after lap after lap, and he does break the elastic most races.
I can see Jordan Ross working very hard behind Johnstone, and of course I was about to say, we've still got 40 laps to go.
Yeah, we've only just completed 17 laps, about to start lap 18. So yeah, there's still plenty of miles to cover yet, and plenty of miles to cover on this set of tyres.
Definitely an epic battle unfolding. These guys have a tendency to do this week to week for us. This time is Ross going to come through. He's up alongside. He's so careful in Miller. So easy to lean on the outside car. Same thing coming in Siberia. So easy to lean on that outside car. Still side by side.
Contact between Freeman and Johnson there.
Yep. That was not great. Just going to see if we can bring that one back up on the replay. Yeah, Freeman buying into the battle. That's got Johnston off. He's managed to collect himself, getting himself back on behind Hobson. Bit of flow there, so hopefully he hasn't done too much damage to the car.
I just had a rewound that and had a good look at that. There's a lot of net code in that one, so that's a shame for Damien, but he's still in this battle. He's still got plenty of laps to do. He's shown good pace, so fingers crossed he can keep it going.
And another little one here with Anthony Visma. He's got himself out on the curb, on the grass, on the sand. The new sand model in iRacing, slowing him up well enough to get back on. That little battle with Johnstone, Ross and Freeman, of course, has opened the door up for James Scott now to clear out to a 1.8 second gap. And Thomas Freeman now is under a lot of pressure from War Boys and putting a lot of pressure on Jordan Ross. So, and Hobson and John Stone are part of this group as well. So still a lot to play for here. And we do know that that second spot in the championship is definitely being played out between War Boys and Freeman. Third spot, sorry. Of course, if you are watching, don't forget that in Discord, the entries are open for Season 8. Only one more round left for this season. We crown our winner. And Season 8 preparation's starting to unfold, but we're already taking entries. We already have 8 drivers entered so far, so make sure you get in. Limited spots like usual for East Coast. I think we only take the 50 entries. So definitely make sure you get your entry in.
Just look at Shane Van Gisbergen, still 41 seconds off the lead of the race. So he really needs some help from a safety car, I think, to get back into this one. He's about 5 seconds off Brad Dobell, who's in P15. So Shane needs a little bit of luck here, I think, to get him through tonight.
They're still setting reasonable lap times.
Definitely nothing wrong with his pace. He's the second quickest car out on track at the moment. He actually set the exact same lap time as James Scott last time out round. So definitely nothing wrong with his pace. It's just whether he's going to have enough laps to get all the way back to the leaders.
Yeah, that safety car would definitely help. You can see Borgie here going through. Tom Frere getting a little bit loose there coming out of MG. Borgie getting a little bit loose. What you want to be at this stage in the race. Still got a few laps to do with this set of tyres.
Yeah, so we're currently on lap 21, nearly about to finish lap 21, start lap 22. I'm guessing if they're going to split the race in half, you need to get to about 27, 28 laps to before you grab another set of boots. But if we go on what they've done previously, they usually try and take it a few laps further than that. So they got some good rubber for the end of the race.
Yeah, and of course the freebie pit stop with that first safety car that we had earlier. I expect the next pit stop to be a real genuine splash and dash with boots. Freeman tucked up behind Ross. Four boys tucked up behind Freeman. He's got Hobson out the back door. Hobson up 12 spots already. Jump on the rear view. There's Hobson. There's Damien Johnstone, our previous race leader, trying to recover. Robbo here well and truly in the War Boys slipstream.
But James Scott has opened that lead up to nearly a bit over 2.5 seconds now. So he's really broken the draft of the boys behind him, and probably just seemed to continue to increase that lead now.
Definitely battling well. His group here have dropped Gamble as well. Gamble's 3.1 back behind these boys now. So it's going to be this group here battling for the minor spots on the podium. And with a tight championship, there'll definitely be a fair bit going on.
Now, I think it's all going to come down to who plucks the best strategy out of the air tonight. May see someone come in a little bit earlier and try and use the undercut and use track position to stay out in front. It's not an easy, you kind of think it's going to be a good track to pass, but it's not an easy track to make a move on around here. So yeah, I think if you're in kind of Hobbo's position, Damien Johnson, it's probably worth a gamble to maybe try and get an undercut and see if you can use that to your advantage.
Yeah, it definitely could be the key. As just having a quick look at the championship points again, of course, only 5 points between Warboys and Freeman. So that's the battle for third and fourth in the championship. So Warboys definitely be hanging on to the back of Freeman. He wouldn't want him to be getting a bit too in front of Ross in that championship battle. Jordan Ross, of course, he's got a good, safe 90 points on these boys behind him. So he can afford to lose a couple of spots. But he doesn't want to lose too many, just in case James Ross does have that week off. Because, no, James Scott has got a little bit in the bank over Jordan Ross with 50 points. So definitely probably a few of these boys thinking about the championship as well, not just doing the calculations on how to win this race.
Yeah, Jordan's put together a great season. This is probably one of his best season he's put together in East Coast. He's been very consistent, and if it probably wasn't for James Scott, he'd be leading the championship by a country mile.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jordan has strung together a very tidy championship, and I'm sure he's just got it in the back of his mind that that's what his aim is tonight, is to just keep chipping away, not throw anything down the toilet, just don't make any big mistakes, and take as many points as you can get. Brian Borg running wide, or is that Tom Freer? No, it's Tom Freer, sorry.
Yep. Tom Freer's had a couple of offs. We just looked at one of them. He's going to go back to the second one. So back at Southern Loop. Oh, sorry, coming over Licky Height, I think. So he was definitely well and truly off there for a while.
Yeah, it's definitely not what we're used to seeing from Tom Freer. Clearly, we pumped up his tyres a little bit too much in the pre-race, so sorry about that, Tom.
So Tom back in the pits with Matty Mascord. These boys have dropped Scott Gamble a bit more. He's back out to 4 seconds, and you can see it's just opening up a little bit, ever so slightly, between Hobson and Johnston. And Warboys getting a 10th up off Hobson now, so this pace really starting to settle in. These tyres be starting to get towards the end of their use-by date.
Yeah, without a doubt. Starting to see a few drivers start to just get the wobbles a little bit on this tyre set. Yeah, Damien Johnson just starting to drop off a little bit from Brenton Hobson. If anybody I thought was struggling on their tyres prior to that contact he had with Thomas Freeman earlier, it was Damien. I think he probably used his tyres a bit harder than everybody else leading the race for the first 12 or 13 laps.
He's done well to hang on to the back of this group as best he can. Slowly dropping away a little bit. But it's definitely these three boys here in the thick of it. Might just jump back, have a bit of a look at the battle with Tim Mulford. He's tucked right up behind Blanchard. And Timmy trying to fight his way back through. And of course, the next man further back on track by 6 seconds and closing fast is Van Gisbergen. So he's slowly getting himself back up into the group.
Yeah, well, Shane was quickest on track last lap round. He was the only person in the 28, so Shane's decided that it's time to use this rubber up as much as he can. And yeah, he's, what was he? He was 1 point, nearly 2 seconds quicker, or a bit over 2 seconds actually, quicker than Timmy Mulford in front of him. So won't be long before he's on the back of these guys.
He's definitely doing very well to fight his way back. As we can see now, Freeman still coming under pressure. They've all sort of checked back up again as a group. Sort of stretching that elastic band that we talk about and then letting it go snap and close back up. Can't underestimate the power of the draft in these supercars.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see once James Scott has been able to break free, that draft, he's broken that draft and he's just stretching his lead now. So Jordan Ross is the one breaking the air for everybody at the moment. And I'm sure Thomas Freeman's sitting in behind him there, saving as much fuel as he can, because we know Thomas is pretty good at his race strategy. So this next set of pit stops, which is probably not going to be too far away, going to be pretty interesting.
Of course, 30 laps to go. 30 and a half laps to go, sorry. Is someone smoking in front there? James Scott's blown his engine. James Scott has blown his engine. Oh, wow, that is big.
No, that could be the season decider right there.
Wow. Wow. Can he get it back to the pits? That is the question.
He's got a lot of ground to cover.
We're going to stay on this. I know there's a battle up front, but this is the championship. He's going to need the points. Like I said, it's only a 50-point lead, but if he scores a 0, that's going to hurt, particularly if Ross now in the 180-point position. Wow, that would be heartbreaking for James. I can imagine the anguish that he'd be going through. And when you've blown the engine in these things, that crawling back to the pits. And we're just going to jump on board.
I think he's going to need a tow by the look of it.
Yeah. I don't hear the engine at all now. Got off the racing line and she has stopped. Wow. That is... Safety car has been called, of course, for that one. That is heartbreaking. I really feel for James. James, ultimate gentleman, been in the combox with us multiple times this season. Always a delight to talk to. And, yeah, I'd be really feeling for him at the moment.
Yeah, it just looked like he got his left rear over on the ripple strip coming into the braking area of turn 1 there, and then yeah, just maybe misshifted with the car being a little bit unsettled. So it's really bad luck for James, and I'm going to guess that holiday is now locked in.
Yep, locked and loaded. Of course, we're not home yet. Jordan Ross still got quite a few laps to go. And of course, the safety car's probably come at an ideal time for these boys to get in, top her up, put the boots on, get ready to bring her home.
Yeah, and I'm sure Shane Van Gisbergen is breathing a sigh of relief as well. So going to be interesting to see what Shane can do from here.
As they're all rolling into the pits. Well, it's still mathematical for James to win. Jordan can still not make it home tonight or not make it home next week. As we've seen with James, anything is possible. Yeah, that is his heart in the mouth stuff, that one. So these boys are all in. We're going to see who's going to roll out first. Just sit on the lads. And it's Hobson. Hobbo, goes the big jump. Of course, the safety car is well and truly about to go into Miller. So the Bay 21 Coffee Bean safety car rolling through Miller Corner as here comes Mr. Hobson. Followed by Thomas Freeman getting the jump. Jordan Ross, Warboy still in fourth. John Stone fifth. Scotty Gamble in sixth. Smart, Schultz, Brian Borg, Visma, Blanchard, Van Gisbergen up into 13th. But he will be on the back of this train in a very competitive fighting position. So looking forward to this one battling on as James Scott tows back to the pits. So Hobbo, who arrived late to the server this evening, will be quite surprised himself, I think, from starting rear of grid to be sitting up 16 spots in P1.
Yeah, quite an effort there from Brenton. Always a fierce competitor, and yeah, I'm sure he'll be smiling inside that helmet of his at the moment.
So it looks like we're going to go one more lap under the safety car. Might take the opportunity, Mark. We might throw in a real quick little ad break. Welcome to our sponsors.
There's no arguing that people love their cars.
We won't argue.
And people who love their cars love to tinker with them. Some people tinker big, some people tinker small. And that's where Supercheap Auto comes in. We've been helping people tinker for 50 years. For people like Bill, Lucy, Kevin, other Kevin.
Oi, get off my car!
Didn't catch this guy's name. Not Patrick. He doesn't shop with us. Whoever you are, whatever you drive, we'll help you make it super.
Of course, big thank you to Supercheap Auto, our major sponsor of East Coast for the last couple of seasons and this season, and of course Macpac, Rebel Sports, and BCF, Pool Guys, Adelaide, and of course Borella Cabinets as well as Bay 21 Coffee Beans and West End Motor Group. Appreciate all the sponsors we've got in the series. Without those guys and the drivers, we wouldn't have a series to put on for everybody. Safety car just been given permission to drive away.
I think James was a little bit confused. I thought he might have thought he was not allowed to come back out on track, but he's been given the all clear. He probably could have been already on the back of that train.
See how James goes here, fight his way back, sitting in 15th at the moment. As Richie gets it in the lane nice and safe. And Hobbo, he's leading him off as well. He's gone early. So we're back to green flag racing. Man to watch here in 13th, Van Gisbergen. James Scott trying to get onto the back of this train. He didn't quite get there. But Brenton Hobson leads us across the stripe to start lap 31. Freeman tucked up behind, followed by Ross, Warboys, John Stone. A little bit of a gap back to John Stone. Then he's got Gamble and Smart and Schultz behind him. Gisbergen's still yet to make a move. I just let this race settle back in. Again, I think these boys, of course, it's a long stint home from 31 to 57.
Yeah, we've still got 26 and a half laps to go, so you still got to be pretty gentle on these tyres for the opening probably 10 laps of this stint. So, yeah, still a lot of racing to be done before we get the winner of this one.
A long way to go. And Gamble having a bit of a look there in the background with John Stone covering him, going down in MG.
Thomas Freeman looking pretty racy in P2 as well. He's got Jordan Ross tucked up just behind him. So I think gloves are starting to come off in this battle, and yeah, it's going to be on for young and old all the way home from here, I think.
What we like to see. An old-fashioned dogfight. Steve Freeman looking to the inside there, going into Southern Loop. Doesn't quite get the fast line. Ross tucks up a bit higher. Got to get the power down coming out of the loop. Going around now into through Stoner, down into Miller. Nicely, don't get too much wheel spin. As we now head down into Siberia, pull it back up. Lock it in, another part of the track. You don't want to get too much wheel spin coming up the hill here. Now we head up to Hayshed. And up through Lukey Heights. Very tough part of the track. Need to be patient. Get it right, you get back on the gas, and all of a sudden you're downhill into MG. Pull it up, braking downhill, get control. Then we come through one of the trickier corners. You've got to wait your time, get the power down. Then coming into the last corner here, you need get the timing right. As you get off the gas, get back on the gas. Full noise now as you get onto the Gardner Straight. Now the speeds picks up. Got to make the most. Hopefully you're in that slipstream. Coming all the way down into Doohan. 200 plus Ks through Doohan corner here. Back to 5th. Roll it through. Then we start again back at the Southern Loop. Pull it up into 3rd. Stay close to that curb as you can. You don't want it to drift out into the marbles. See what Mark was saying. This place is very technical, very difficult to race. Hobson not getting away. Freeman hanging on. Ross hanging on. Warboys. Johnstone, Gamble, Christian Smart. They're all here in this battle. Schultz off the back a little bit. Van Gisbergen's made up one spot into 12th. Don't underestimate him moving forward. Tucked up behind Visma now. Of course, Van Gisbergen caught up with a pit lane penalty early on. Missed his pit box and then got a pit penalty to boot. First round of stops were not great. Goes up the inside of Visma. Still side by side. Visma's not going to give him through. These two boys going to battle again, coming down the main straight. Gisbergen tucked right up behind the Accelerate Sim Racing entry. Good drive coming onto the Gardner Straight. Great car control. Gets it done at Doohan. Timmy Mulford, next man up the road. Jordan Ross. He's under pressure from Warboys.
Yeah, these boys at the front are all putting pressure on each other. Very easy to overshoot something and make a mistake, but they're all driving exceptionally well tonight. And it's been a pretty tight battle from the green flag at the start of lap 1.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with the top 6-7 cars. A little bit of bad luck, of course, for Van Gisbergen, like we just mentioned before. And, of course, James Scott blowing that motor back into 15th. He will get some points back in that position. Definitely tightens up the championship going into this last race with Scott being down the order 2 laps down. I can't see him getting any better than 15th.
No, not at this stage, not unless we get another couple of safety cars and he gets that them laps back. But yeah, it's going to be a tough slog from here for James. But we know what a fighter he is, and we know how skillful he is. So anything is possible.
Yeah, don't underestimate any of these boys. They have been turning it on all season. And now that we're starting to get to the pointy end, we're seeing some very clever driving.
And of course, with the boys at the front, you know, all only with a cigarette paper between them, anything can happen in that front battle. So very easy to lock a brake, miss an apex, run wide. You know, you can end up making all sorts of mistakes when you're in a train like that. So yeah, there's definitely nothing decided so far. We've still got 22 laps to go.
It's still a long way. And of course, I think there's something like 30 odd points difference, so it definitely would close the gap. I think Scott will still be in front going into the last round. We finish where we are at the moment. So the big winner where we finish at the moment, I think, would be Thomas Freeman. He'd get he'd get the jump back on War Boys, I believe. James Scott just jumping in and out of there a little bit. Hope he's not about to have a disconnection, or myself. Hobbo doing really well. Up 16 spots, started the rear of the grid. Knows how to win these. Been the champion of the series 2 times.
No, he's definitely no stranger to the winner's circle. So doing a stellar job tonight. He's come from the rear of grid to be leading the race. Shane Van Gisbergen's got another place. He's got past Tim Mulford on that lap. And next in line for Shane is Craig Schultz. So Shane not out of this yet, especially if these boys at the front continue to battle each other. They're obviously not going to make great lap times while they're trading paint with each other, which gives Shane's the opportunity to edge closer and closer to him each lap.
Well, Shane's only 6 seconds off the leader. Still a long way to go, as you're saying, Mark. He needs to be able to use Schultz. Second and 1.4 seconds behind him. Then needs to be able to get on the Borg. Leapfrog himself on the Smart. And then he'll be on the back of these boys. So it'll be interesting to see. I reckon a few of these boys will be watching that, knowing that Van Gisbergen's coming, setting good times. 29.3 that time by the stripe. So that's a really quick one from, considering Schultz was a 29.7, so he's definitely running the pace of the leaders.
Yeah, and you got to remember Shane's coming through his passing cars, so that does eat into his lap time. So he did get held up a little bit by Timmy Mulford that previous lap and was still able to punch out a 29.3. So I think there's plenty more pace in the car.
Freeman's just got the jump on Hobson. And we're starting to see now Hobson hanging onto the back of him. And let's see what Ross can do here.
Yeah, really nice move there from Thomas Freeman into Miller Corner.
Yeah, definitely doing very well. These boys starting to stretch their legs a little bit from the smart. That gap dropped back to a second and a half. Van Gisbergen still hasn't closed the door down the Schultz. Of course, the other thing we're going to see from these guys, Mark, in about 15 laps is they're going to start fighting. They're going to start fighting for positions. They're not going to be worried about staying quick. That's going to allow these boys at the back to come. We can see Van Gisbergen there in the red car in that shot from Miller. Lurking in the background there.
And we know Shane's not going to require a second invitation, so yeah, it's still a lot to play for here. Thomas Freeman, 4th race leader of the night so far. So we've had early on, we had Damien Johnson, then we had James Scott, then we had Brenton Hobson, and now we've got Thomas Freeman. So some top quality drivers all taking the lead of the race at one point tonight, and Thomas Freeman doing a good job out front. Brenton Hobson, P2, Jordan Ross, P3, Blake Warburg, P4, Damien Johnson, P5, Scotty Gamble, P6, Christian Smart, Brian Borg, Craig Schultz, Shane Van Gisbergen, and that's your top 10.
And they are battling very, very well. Like I said, it's not over. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a 5th race leader by the end. Maybe even a 6th.
Yep, Shane Van Gisbergen's just cleared Craig Schultz into Southern Loop, so his next man on his hit list is Brian Borg.
Of course, that's only 2 seconds in front. And then if you have a look in front of Borg, you've got Smart, Gamble, Johnstone. We could see that pack. I was sitting on those cars a second ago. We come up the hill. There they all are. You can see the leader. There is a carrot. Tries to close down Brian Borg in front of him. Keep an eye on that group.
Yeah, Shane was second quickest on track that time round. Quickest on track was James Scott, who is currently well off the lead of the race. I think he's 2 laps down, but
Yeah.
Shane was second quickest on track, so he's coming for these boys in front.
Yeah, of course. James Scott out there fighting for points. This championship going to come down to the line now, I think. Won't be much in it going into next week. Freeman's showing a little bit of clean heels there, not much. These boys all bunched up. See Shane in that red car in the background there. He's coming. Hasn't closed down on Borg yet though.
This is exactly what Shane wants. He wants these guys at the front battling with each other, killing their lap times a little bit and allowing him to just make inroads every lap to decrease the lead from the front to where he's positioned. So I'm sure Shane's happy for these guys to battle hard until he gets there himself.
And of course, he's only 2.5 seconds behind Borg. And we all know that if he can get that 2.5 seconds down to a second, he's going to pick up that slipstream, which will bring him to the back of Borg really quick. And then once he's past Borg, He's a second behind Smart, half a second behind Smart, which then puts him 1 second behind Gamble, who is at the rear of this train behind Johnson, who was sitting on here. So this is really shaping up, I think, to be an epic finish. Not to mention the fight that these guys are having here. Big shout out to Jamie McKnight as well. Great to see the Parramatta Isuzu Utes logo flashing on Damien Johnstone's banner. And you can see they're all nose to tail. This is turning into a great fight. A little bit overcast at the moment too. That'll be bringing back that track temperature.
Yeah, track's still sitting pretty low. It's at 22.2. Yeah, temperature's only 19.6 degrees. So pretty good race conditions for these boys. Yeah, shout out to the People's Champion. Good to have him here watching with us.
Yeah, always welcome to have Jamie out there with us. But yeah, Warboys working very hard on the back of Ross. Johnstone working very hard on the back of Warboys. Scotty Gamble hanging on to the back of this group as well. And Thomas Freeman has got a little bit of a gap there as they all slide their way down the straight going side to side. Jordan Ross now tucked up on Warboys. Ross looking for a pass here, going into Doohan. Can he make it work before he gets to the southern loop? Yes, he does. Ross the boss gets the job done. As we now tuck up. He'll be setting his sights now on Freeman, who's got out to half a second from these boys. This is what we're talking about, these guys battling. Interesting though to note that Van Gisbergen hasn't closed that gap down the Borg as quick as we thought, Mark.
No, he's owed a couple of untidy laps. His last lap round, he locked it coming into Miller Corner, so he probably just trying a little bit too hard at the moment, but he was, yeah, well, Brian Borg was quicker than him last time round, so he just needs to get back in his rhythm, and I'm sure he'll get there before race end.
Yeah, definitely still cracking away. Hobbo back to P6. Hobbo sitting in third, Ben Anthony. He'll definitely working hard to stay in front of Warboys here. Just jump. I can see the old windscreen of Damien Johnston's car. Definitely getting covered in a bit of rubber. Splotches now. These boys, close proximity, have been battling for a fair while. Lap 43 of 57. It has been an epic battle of using that slipstream. Trying to hang on. Look after those tyres. Save the fuel. Geez, I thought Johnstone was about to be in the back of Warboys there. Save the fuel. You got to be in it. You got to be here for those last 10 laps. And at 43 or 57, we're not far from it.
Yep, still 14 and a half to go, and still anybody's race at the moment. So Thomas Freeman's been able to open that gap up to nearly half a second. So only person who's had a bigger gap than that tonight was James Scott before he blew his engine. So Thomas doing a great job out front at the moment.
Yeah, looking very solid, representing the Fishy Motorsports boys really well. I know we had the Minnow win watching earlier. He's going to be one to look out for in a year or two's time. I've been watching him in a few other series and officials. And the young fella, young Ty Delaney, showing plenty of pace already. Hopefully we'll see him in here at East Coast very soon with the pace that he's showing. I think it was a stop and hold for car 27, Jamie. Definitely all hanging onto the back. There's about just over a second between Gamble and Smart. And then, of course, once we go back there, we've got Brian Borg behind Smarty. And we can see that red car, that gap slowly closing in again.
Yeah, Van Gisbergen was about 0.3 of a second quicker than Borg that time around, but again, Shane ran a little bit wide at Miller Corner, so he's pushing hard, but probably maybe pushing a little bit too hard.
Yeah, don't want to cook those tyres too much. Need to be very careful. He's got something at the end.
Yeah, Damo was looking very strong, Jamie. He qualified second and was leading the race for the first 12 laps, but unfortunately had a bit of neck code with Thomas Freeman and got pushed off track with the neck code and lost 3 or 4 position, but he has been well and truly on the pace tonight.
Yeah, of course, starting that front row, which is great to see. I don't think we've seen Damien on the front row too often here at East Coast. And definitely putting in a good show tonight. Thomas Freeman now starting to come under a lot of pressure from Jordan Ross. Not going to be surprised if we see a position change very shortly. As we jump on with Hobbo. He's tucked right up behind Ross as well. We're nearly into those last 10 laps that we were talking about, where it's going to be showtime. We're going to find out who's been looking after the tyres. He's been looking after their fuel numbers. A 26 lap stint here at Phillip Island. Not an easy feat in these V8 cars on one set of tyres. As we see Jordan twitching in front of us.
A little bit of panel rubbing with Christian Smart and Brian Borg, which has allowed Shane Van Gisbergen to close that gap even further. So it shouldn't be too long, and I think Shane might be in the draft now, so probably see that gap start to come down quickly.
Yeah, last thing, and I don't think these two are quite finished. Smart gets back in front of Borg. See what Borg does here coming into the southern loop. Might just keep a loose eye on that. We'll stay with this battle at the front. It is still very tightly contested. Actually, it's going to go back real quick to Borg and Smart, side by side through Miller. And it's been an accident. Damien Johnson. Oh no, we've done the commentator's course. Looks like Johnson and Warboys. I haven't quite picked up what caused it. Might just try one more time on this one. So looks like a little bit of room issue. That's a tough one. I'll leave that one for race control, I think. But Damien would be very disappointed. As he's still going now. He's back now with Van Gisbergen and Smart. And Borg. So keep an eye on that. Timmy Mulford's just had an incident as well. So I might just quickly jump on that one to see what Timmy's done. Looks like he's just going to cook it going through the corner. Jump back on the front. That's very tight up here as well, as we're going to try and get back to the leaders. So now there is 3. Freeman, Ross and Hobson. So Freeman's got to fight off these two Synergy Sim Racing cars. It's 2 seconds back to Gamble. This looks like our podium, as Ross has a bit of a look up the inside. And Van Gisbergen has got himself past Smart now.
He got through on Brian Borg at Southern Loop, and then he's picked up Christian Smart down into Miller Corner. So he's steamrolling his way forward with 10 to go.
There you go, Jamie McKnight. He should be called it. Racing incident. As these three boys, Warboys back on the back of Gamble. So 2 seconds back to the guys in 4th and 5th. Van Gisbergen 2.5 seconds back to Warboys. As we're about to have 10 to go.
You can just see that gap opening up between Hobson and Gamble with Damien Johnson and Blake Warboys coming out of that train with that incident.
Oh, that gap is so close coming down that straight. I reckon Ross is going to go and doing. I reckon that's where the move's going to come. Warboys getting past Gamble through doing as well.
We did see on that front straight earlier tonight with Brad Dobell and Matty Mascord where it sent Matty Mascord pirouetting and tumbling down the front straight with just the slightest of touch. So you got to be very precise down there.
Very careful. High speeds, high risk. As we can see, Jordan Ross absolutely tucked up behind Freeman, who's looked after their tyres. Got to be careful here not to get too racy.
I think race management's gone out the window now. It's just gloves off and it's best man to win.
That looks like Freeman getting a little bit of extra drive. A little bit of twitching there. You can see the front end of his car absolutely twitching away. Now we've got Ross in the draft. Watch this gap close down. Into doing. Got to be precise. Get the power down coming out of the southern loop. Into Stoner. Do you plan the big dive now coming into Miller? A bit too far back this time, I think. It's right up behind and has a good look. Timmy Mulford's had a bit of an incident going through Hayshed. Looks like he's got himself going. Jamie McKnight saying as an SSR man he'd be awesome to see Freo win one. Jordan absolutely working hard here. Coming up through Lukey Heights. Big dive in the MG.
Yeah, Thomas Freeman's, he's had a stellar season with us this season, and yeah, he would be a worthy race winner, that's for sure. But I'm sure Jordan Ross has got other ideas, as has Brenton Hobson behind him.
Well, Hobbo hasn't disappeared. He's still there. 2.8 seconds back to Warboys, of course. And then Scott Gamble, he's tucked up behind Warboys. And then 1.9 back to the Giz. Christian Smart hanging on to Gisbergen. That's a great little effort. Leading our Super 2 drivers was Christian Smart. Great little fight back from him. As we come down into Miller, very tight amongst these three. These boys starting to battle a little bit. Seeing Warboys close that gap down slightly. I know Warboys would be seeing Van Gisbergen starting to close the gap down to Gamble, so he'd probably putting his foot down trying to get on with it.
Christian Smart doing a great job hanging on to the back of Shane Van Gisbergen. Christian's had a great run tonight.
So you can see Hobson tucked right up behind Ross. Made a few good drives.
Yeah, plenty of good drive. Thomas Freeman's up 8 spots. Jordan Ross up 2. Brenton Hobson up 14. Blake Warboys up 1. And Scotty Gamble up 3. So, yeah, plenty of moves being made out there tonight.
It definitely going to be very interesting. As we're on 51 or 57. And Van Gisbergen I think next time down the Gardner Straight will be in the slipstream of those WK&P cars. It is a fair fight back from the Giz to get himself into the top 10, into 5th. Let's see what he can do. Looks like, oh, he's touched. There's been a touch there. Freeman on the radio straight away. Interesting to see. I think Ross could be in a little bit of trouble. Freeman now, he's 3 seconds back, tucked up in front of these WK&P cars. And then we can see the red car of Gern Gisbergen in the background.
Looked like a fair bit of netcode in that one too, unfortunately. Thomas has had 2 incidents tonight that look like it's involved a fair bit of netcode, unfortunately. But yeah, race control can deliberate on that one.
Well, interesting, the old small field, big field debate and netcode with only 18 cars. Still getting big netcode. Might be answering that one a bit.
Yeah, everybody's connection looks pretty rock solid, so yeah, not sure what that is. Maybe just good old Australian internet.
Yep. And Jordan Ross and Hobson still nose to tail. Dave Coleman saying we need to try overseas service. What was the answer? So these boys battling very well. Poor old Thomas Freeman is sitting back in 3rd still. Van Gisbergen now is on the back of the WK&P train. And Christian Smart definitely coming along for the ride.
Yeah, Smarty's driven an excellent race tonight. He's been very competitive, and he's won a couple of spots up on Craig Schultz in the Super 2 battle. So I think Craig is probably just back there managing his race, knowing he's got a fairly comfortable lead in that
series. Yeah. And Freeman is into the pits, so not sure whether he's got damage or what on that one.
Yeah, he's got a big damage on the right hand side.
That's a bit disappointing for Thomas. And of course, race control coming up with no further action on that one. So Jordan Ross has a 2.7 second lead over Brenton Hobson. Probably assume that these two will adopt championship protecting status for Ross. But Hobbo is a racer, so anything is possible. They keep telling me at SSR there's no team orders. Van Gisbergen and Christian Smart starting to latch onto the back of Gamble as well. So lap 53 or 57, not many to go. Definitely been another great night, Mark, of competitive racing. Yeah,
it's been great battling all the way through the field, as we usually see on a Tuesday night. And Jordan Ross now out in front, so he is going to wear the wrath of the commentator's curse next, maybe.
Goes across the stripe. 4 to go. Brian Borg involved in an off-track. It was only a short one, so I weren't worried about having a look at that. And, of course, he's into the pits as well. A few of these boys not quite getting their fuel strategy right, maybe. Just going to jump back on the Scotty Gamble. Got Van Gisbergen starting to come up onto the back of him. Got Mick Clifton. Anthony Viz was sitting in 10th. He's in the top 10. That's a good drive from the Viz. And he is 4th in the Super 2 boys. Anthony improving every week here at East Coast. Van Gisbergen not quite closing down Gamble as quick as I thought he would. Ross and Hobson battling away. Go across the stripe to start 55.
But 3 laps to go, yeah. Blake Warboy, Scotty Gamble, Shane Van Gisbergen, Christian Smart, all doing pretty much the exact same lap time. So not a lot going to change here, I don't think, in the next couple of laps. Although I have seen Shane stick it up the inside at Southern Loop on a few drivers tonight, so he may just try that one more time. Scotty Gamble's aware of that one and closes the door promptly.
Of course, Van Gisbergen pretty happy to get himself back to 4th. Pit lane penalty. His pit box. First stop, Gamble goes a little bit deep. That allows not just Van Gisbergen through, but maybe Smart as we come into Siberia.
Bit of panel rubbing there from Scotty Gamble and Christian Smart. Too wide at the hay shed, always a dangerous
Situation. Looks like Gamble's going to hang on here coming down in MG.
Yeah, good racing from them two boys, fighting hard. Of course, these boys are protagonists in the V8 Vet Series as well. Although Scotty's not racing vets this season. Hope he enjoys his family time and cricket.
Getting back out into the fresh air and getting some exercise. As we start lap 56, the penultimate lap. Ross and Hobson, 0.1, still nothing in it between these two boys.
And of course, that's probably a little bit of fire under Shane Van Gisbergen now, because he's got 1.5 laps to go to try and get on the podium. So, going to be interesting 1.5 laps for Blake Warboys and Shane Van Gisbergen. Hobbo has a bit of a look on the outside. It's never going to probably work at Miller, but goes the over and under.
Down into Siberia. It's one of these battles here we don't know where to look again.
We've got Smart and Gamble trading panel rubs, and then we've got Van Gisbergen trying to latch onto the back of Blake Warboys to see if he can pick up that toe down the front straight next time round, which will be the last lap. And then we've got Brenton Hobson and Jordan Ross battling out for the lead.
Yeah, there is nothing in any of these 3 battles. The top, Christian Smart, something up and down. Going to come back to that.
Yeah, he just was following Scotty Gamble down into MG, and I think he just took evasive action rather than take Scotty out. So good driving there from Christian to not take a fellow competitor out.
As we start the last lap side by side. Ross on the inside. Can Hobson hang out there to come up the side of Southern Loop? No, doesn't get the job done. Going to jump on Van Gisbergen. Van Gisbergen tucks it right up behind Warboys. Doesn't get the job done coming into the Southern Loop. Grab these boys now as we come down into Miller Corner. Coming through Stoner at the moment. Coming down. Ross defends. Doesn't get an opening. Jump on Van Gisbergen. Van Gisbergen up the inside of Warboys. Does he make it stick? Warboys gets it loose. Van Gisbergen gets the job done. So Van Gisbergen on the podium. Jordan Ross now really only has MG, is the only other spot where Hobson can have a crack at it. I think he's too far back coming over the hill for the final time through Lukey Heights. Down into MG. Ross, the boss, I think, has got this locked out unless he doesn't get the power down out of the last 2 turns. we have seen another epic East Coast V8 Series race. And we're going to see Jordan Ross bring it home in first by less than half a second from Hobson. Shane Van Gisbergen brings it home in third. Great podium drive from the pole sitter. Blake Warboys in fourth. Gamble in fifth, up 3 spots. Damien Johnstone started on the front row. He's going to finish in sixth. Christian Smart leads home the Super 2 boys from Craig Schultz, followed by Brad Dobell. Anthony Visma, he's going to get himself into the top 10. Great drive from Visma. And then, of course, James Scott, the story of the night. He's managed to get himself home in 12th by continuing racing after blowing that engine. So that 12th spot will be less than 30 points to Jordan Ross. So I think he'll still have a nice lead if he's racing next week. Still don't know whether that holiday's booked or not. Have to ask Jordan when he comes in and have a chat to us. And it's been another epic one, Mark.
Yeah, some great racing there tonight. It was nose to tail most of the race from start to finish. So yeah, really enjoyable race. Congratulations to Jordan Ross. Brenton Hobson, what a drive from Brenton, up 15 spots. And yeah, great comeback from the Giz. He had a stop and hold, an iRacing stop and hold by the look of it, so he had to serve a lengthy penalty, gets back to the podium. James Scott, never say die attitude. We kind of thought he wouldn't get past 16th spot, but he's managed to scrape his way back up to 12, so he salvages something.
Yeah, he does. Just going to look at that Christian Smart incident down in MG that we missed earlier. Oh yeah, Abs locked it up, pulled her out to the left instead of the right, as you said, to avoid the accident. It's a pretty smart move. Christian there. As we just wait for the boys to come in. That was really, for a small field again, they have turned it on, Mark.
Yeah, it was exciting racing from the get-go. Yeah, we saw plenty of overtakes. We saw, I think, 5 or 6 different leaders during the race. So yeah, it all happened. We've seen some big names have issues. We saw some big names fight back as well. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyable race. Feel a bit sorry for Damien Johnson. He had great speed all night and just suffered some incidents that probably really weren't of his doing. Big neckcoat incident with Thomas Freeman earlier on in the race that took him out of the lead, and that really probably put an end to his hopes tonight for winning the race. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed that one.
Yeah, it was really enjoyable. Some good battles, even right through. We saw some really good battles, even further back in the pack. Borgie was battling pretty hard there for a fair while. Scotty Gamble. We saw Schultz and Smart battle as well. You know, it's not just the big names out the front we're seeing in this series really getting amongst the action now. We're starting to see the guys in that mid-pack, the Dobells, the Vismas. We're starting to see those boys really start to mix it up into the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we saw for a lot of that race there, Craig Schultz, Christian Smart, they were racing with Shane Van Gisbergen, and it took him a long time to close him down, get past him, and then shake him off at the end. So, yeah, some great strong driving there tonight from all right through the field.
Definitely, and we'll have a chat to the man that made up 15 spots to get himself in the P2. Start with you, Hobbo. Well done on that one, mate.
Thank you. That was good fun in the end.
It was, wasn't it? It was very entertaining to watch. Obviously, no team orders at SSR. You defended off your championship prospect in Jordan Ross.
Yeah, I mean, I knew he was racing for a championship, and I'm not. So
I'm not really racing for a championship.
I certainly didn't want to, take him out, but I think you sort of always know with someone like Jordan, if you're in a good fight like that, you can race really hard and fair and clean, and that's how I like to do it. And that was one of the more fun races I've had in a while. So, props to him for racing hard and fair. And it was good. Hopefully it was good to watch.
It was very entertaining. And well done, Jordan, on the P1, mate.
Thanks, guys. It was mega fun. But yeah, courtesy of James dying on lap 27.
Yeah, someone gave him the Super Specials SSR motor, didn't they?
Yeah,
Dug that one out of the back of the workshop, did you, Jordan?
bucket of bolts, that one. Yeah. No, it's he was up the road and he would have been gone. So unlucky for him. Bit of a shame, but yeah.
So have you managed to find out any truth to the rumour that he's on holidays next week or not?
Is he?
Well, he said...
Probably cancelled that holiday now, I reckon.
I reckon he has, yeah. At the start of the season, round 1, he said to us that he thought there was a couple of holidays. He had a holiday towards the end of the season or at the end of the season. There's only one race left.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Might have to go pull his plug on his power.
Because by my calculations, it'd be less than 30 points between yous now.
Nice.
So the gap has closed for the finale at Daytona.
Clearly, James didn't hand out the bribe for me to take him out tonight. So.
And of course, Shane, I'm not sure whether he was in your Discord having a chat with you boys, but that was a great try for him to come back from drive-through penalty as well.
Yeah. He's all obviously knows what he's doing. So yeah, it was good. He killed it.
Yeah, that was good.
He only took one set of tyres, so he was nursing that one home at the end.
Fair enough. It did give him 2. Yeah, so I suppose, how about you're back here? You're the consummate professional at this one, mate. So I'll let you give a shout out for SSR.
Oh, and I'm half dying as well. Of course you do that. Yeah, shout out to J. Ross and all the others in the team. That was good fun out there tonight. Thanks to all the sponsors, Works Racing Components, Watercraft Performance Centre, Parramatta Isuzu Ute, Dr. Epoxy, Western Motor Group, and all the others that help make the wheels turn around. Shout out to the league for putting on something for us to do here on a Tuesday night, and all the sponsors obviously attached to that as well. And also to you guys for putting on a broadcast for everyone. Appreciate it.
Not too easy, mate. And next week, boys, Daytona under lights for 250 Ks, I think it is. What's your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, hopefully I'm away next week.
I love Daytona under lights. It's one of my all-time favourites.
It'd be good. Turn 1 always makes it very entertaining at Daytona.
Yeah, no, it's good. We'll have fun, and hopefully James is on holiday. But knowing James, he's ultra competitive, and he doesn't let anyone have anything. So.
You reckon that flight's changed from Tuesday morning to Wednesday morning, huh?
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah,
it was all a ploy.
Yeah, it was a ploy.
Yep.
We have seen some pretty close finishes at Daytona over the years, so expecting probably another close finish next week.
Yeah, it's obviously a mega draft track, so and there's not a lot of turns, so I'm usually good. I'm okay on a straight line, so that's all right.
Hey, you did all right tonight with a couple of corners.
Yeah, not too many corners. That's about my max of corners, so it was all good.
I think you'll be in for an epic battle. I think I'm really looking forward to seeing what these boys can do. It's the way you've all raced all season, and like you said, it is a massive draft track. It's going to be really interesting to see these guys, like you were tonight, 9 cars in a row, fighting it out.
Yeah, it'll be good. It'll be awesome. So we'll see you next week.
Yeah, and on that season next week, big thank you to Mark for commentating with me again tonight. A big thank you to these boys, the drivers, that put on such an awesome show every week in, week out. Big thank you to the big numbers we had in watching us live as well. Great to see the regulars back in the chat, having a chat with us, and a few guys coming back in like Mr. McKnight. And big thank you to the admins of the league and race control. And on that note, we'll see everybody again next week. Thanks again.
There's no argument. People love their cars.
We weren't arguing.
They talk about their cars, sing about their cars. Some people even look like their car. Whether it's an old car, new old car, Fast car, family car, electric car, race car, two-wheel car, no-wheel car, or a car you know's parked around here somewhere. People who love their cars love to tinker with them. Some people tinker big, some people tinker small, some people tinker some degree between those two variables.
Whose voice is that?
And that's where Supercheap Auto comes in. We've been helping people tinker for 50 years. For people like Bill, Lucy, Kevin, other Kevin.
Oi, get off my car!
Didn't catch this guy's name.
It's Kevin.
Not Patrick. He doesn't shop with us. Whoever you are, whatever you drive, we'll help you make it super. Because super is our middle name.